Hi, welcome to day 6 of Disney Plus movie reviews. Today I am talking about a movie called Almost Angels. This movie came out in 1962. So the movie starts out of singing and it's listing like the people in the movie. And Daniel was watching the first part of this movie. Daniel is my husband. And he went, "Oh, impressive. It stars the Vienna Boys Choir." So that's pretty cool. Already, name recognition. So movie starts. It is about the Vienna Boys Choir. Boys who sing. They're really good. I hadn't heard them before. They're very good. So it starts with these boys coming back on a train, getting off, seeing their families. They have been on a 4-month tour of America. That's a long time for kids to be gone. And then a boy goes, "Dad, Mother," which I thought was a weird combination to call your parents. That stood out to me. The main boy in this movie is named Tony. Tony is kind of mixed into this because his dad is driving the train. Tony's dad wants Tony to be an engineer like him. He wants Tony to drive a train, a big train, just like him. Tony does not seem that into it. Tony talks to a boy who's in the choir about how you get in the choir. They say that you audition and then you can get in. And Tony's like, "I like to sing." So we know where this is going. So Tony's mom takes Tony to an audition and Tony's really good. He sings a song in German. I don't know what my hair is doing. He sings a song in German. He's really good. They're only getting 2 new students at this point in the year. That's how many vacancies they had to fill. So because it's about Tony, we know that Tony's going to get in, but who else will get in? We see another boy named Friedel audition. Friedel is brought by a man who seems like his dad at first, but he's not. He is the pianist for the village choir that Friedel is in, because Friedel is from the orphanage. Friedel is a cute little kid. He's just smiley and happy and freckly orange hair. He's an adorable child. So Friedel gets in there and Friedel starts yodeling. He is yodeling competently well. He's good at it and he's very happy. And it was funny, one, because this kid just starts yodeling, and 2, because the man who brought him was like, "That's exactly what I told him not to do." But Friedel gets in, so it worked out. So then Tony's mom gets some mail, and it's from the school, the Vienna Boys Choir, talking about Tony's audition. And his dad is like, "What? What audition? You didn't even talk to me?" His mom was like, "You wouldn't have let him go." And Dad's like, "You don't know that." And she's like, "Would you?" He says no. But the mom is like, "Tony was born to sing." And the dad's like, "He's not going." And then it jumps to him going to the school. So the parents go with him on a kind of tour. They like meet the people, and Tony is an excited kid. He's very happy to be there. This kid, Peter, is supposed to take him around. Peter has been at the school for a while, and Peter's voice has started changing. So he kind of loses out on some stuff to Tony. And it's not that Tony is trying to take it from him. Tony is just being Tony, and Peter holds that against him. So that's unfortunate. When they're in class with their main teacher, I'm going to call him Mr. Heller. That's not what they call him, but his last name is Heller. When he's teaching them, and he is a great teacher man. "I like the teacher guy," said Daniel. So they start practicing and they're sitting, which I thought was kind of weird because I thought you were supposed to stand to sing to get better airflow, whatever. But they start sitting and then they stand up. So I guess that kind of makes sense. These kids are really happy about being corrected. Their teacher has them raise their hand if they mess up immediately and say why they messed up. And they're all very supportive. So then they get constructive criticism. People aren't making fun of them. It is a good system. It is. Peter, not a huge fan at the beginning of the movie. Tony brought a radio. You're not allowed to have radios in this school. Weird, but okay, it's the rule. I don't know if Tony didn't know that rule or if he just didn't follow it because he was new and wanted his radio. But Peter takes his radio and turns it on because he's like, "Ha ha, it's yours. You'll get in trouble." But like, that doesn't really make sense because a lot of boys were there and they saw what happened. But then he plays the music, and then it turns into a pillow fight, and then pillows are exploding and feathers are raining down everywhere. So that teacher, Mr. Heller, Professor Heller, man, hears noise as he's walking past the doorway going up the stairs. So he stops, goes to the door, listens, cracks it open a little bit, sees feathers flying, maybe almost gets hit by a pillow, closes the door. But he smiles because he's a nice man. So he gives them some time, and he comes back, he knocks on the door, and the boys all jump into bed. And then he comes in, and the radio is still playing. And by this point, Tony had it back. And Tony can't get it to turn off, so he just smothers it under his pillow, and they just all lay there quietly. Heller turns off the light, and then Tony figures out how to turn off the radio. But they don't get in trouble. They think they're going to get in trouble, but they don't. It's nice. So Peter, still a punk. Tony does well. I like him. A performance. And they wear costumes. They're dressing up, and it's Tony took Peter's part, so Peter's mad. Again, Peter's voice changed. Like, he can't sing the high notes that Tony can. Very, very high notes. If you watch the movie, you will hear them very high. So they're dressing up, like they have costumes. And Peter is told by Mr. Heller to make sure that Tony and he come in at the right cue. It's like the postman, and Tony has the main part. He is the postman. So he needs to come in at the cue. And he can't because Peter locks him in a room. Super rude. And this other kid is like, hey, you should let him out. So they go to let him out. But Tony has climbed out the window. So he climbs along the edge of the building. So they sing the intro to when the postman is supposed to come in, like his cue. And he doesn't come in because he can't, because he couldn't come that way. So then Mr. Heller has them sing it again. And then he's like looking around. Where's Peter? Nope. Well, where's Peter too? But where's Tony? And then Tony comes in through the window and starts singing. Super dangerous, but super good for dramatic effect. They're singing in what looks like a hospital, and the kids are super excited, and he's walking through them, and he's just being a great, engaging performer. So I'm proud of him. The professor, teacher man, asks Tony whose idea it was, what happened, and Tony was like, oh, yeah, it was my idea. Then teacher man asks Peter, it's like, was it your idea? And he's like, yeah, it was. And the teacher's like, well, Tony said you had nothing to do with it, but I thought you did. Because he's a smart man. So then they go sing in mass, and Tony has a solo, and his parents are there. His dad's all grumbly about how long it'll be and why they're there and blah, 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 blah. But Tony's good. So then, okay, this was a good part. So they're traveling somewhere, and Tony and somebody else are sent to go find Peter. Peter is up on a rock, like way out there, conducting a song. So then more boys followed them. I don't know why they did. Tony grabbed the music from Peter and sees that Peter has written a song. So he asks Peter to conduct them, and Peter's like, don't make fun of me. But the song is funny. You should, honestly, like, if you don't want to watch the whole movie, you should fast forward to mid-ish way. Find the song. It's funny. The boys sing quack, 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 quack. Or cluck. Cluck. You know, quack, cluck. Similar. It's funny. They go cluck, 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 cluck. But like, to me, it's funny. And Peter just conducts them, and more boys come, and Tony jumps down and shows those boys the music so they can sing too. And on the last line, the teacher shows up because he's probably like, where are my kids? But he heard, and he sang the last line with them, and he has this booming voice. It was funny. I like that part. So now Tony is home with his parents, and Tony's dad, when he came to the school, was like, Tony better have good grades. If he doesn't have good grades, I'm going to pull him out of the school. A bold statement, but the man didn't want him to be singing anyway. So like, his motivations are clear. He's not a nice seeming man, but you understand where he's coming from. So Tony's home. His dad looks at his report card, and it's like, okay. They're okay grades, but Tony is trying. Like he was reading his math book to learn. He's trying to do all this. He's trying to do well. It's just harder for him. And also, like, he's kind of young. So his dad looks at his report card. He's not happy. Tony and his mom start, like, playing music, singing. So the mom is playing while the dad looks at the report card, and Tony is hanging out. And I'm like, man, this dad is not nice. But then the dad is nice. He's offended that Tony won't get to go on the tour just because of his grades. He says he's a magician. That'd be funny. He says he's a musician. Any fool can see that. And he wants Tony to sing for him. So Tony sings, his mom sings, and his dad even joins in a little bit. It was really nice. Then Tony's dad goes to talk to the headmaster. So here are some quotes from that. The headmaster's like, "You're the one who cared when he came." And his dad said, "A man can change his mind." Which is true, you can. "I know my own mind, that's all," said Tony's dad. He's like, "You're going to let him go. I understand your policy, but you're going to let him go." And then the dad like turns and leaves. And the headmaster to the mom said, "Your husband may not be a musician, but he knows how to change his tune, doesn't he?" That was funny. I liked it. The children are precious in this movie. They're just super cute. They kind of blur together, but they're super cute. Tony is sad because he might not get to go because of his grades, but the dad convinces him, I guess. Peter is supportive of Tony now because they're like practicing for a performance. Maybe it's because Peter and Tony both got parts. Maybe it's because Tony had him conduct. I'm not really sure, but he's being nice. So Friedel, the yodeling kid from the beginning, is playing a cute little girl in this opera. I think he's like Tony's girlfriend in it. He's adorable. And then they sing, and they're not singing in English, so I don't really know what they're saying, but you can kind of follow the story anyway. So they're practicing, and Peter's voice starts cracking, like on high notes a lot. He's practicing backstage, not in the performance. But his voice is cracking. He can't sing the notes. So he's like, "Here's my costume. You can take my part. Bye." And he leaves. But Tony is a kind problem solver. So he finds Peter. He's like, "We'll figure it out." But Peter wants to tell the headmaster, like tell his teacher what's happening. But then the headmaster comes to talk to Heller, their teacher. And the headmaster is like, "Oh yeah, Peter, the song that you wrote looks promising." And he asked the teacher about doing it as an encore occasionally while they were on tour. And Mr. Heller was like, "Yeah, I'd love to." So now Peter is in a weird place because he shouldn't go because he can't sing, but they really like his song and they want to perform it. And Peter likes writing music and he is liking conducting so far. So that's sad for him. So Tony comes up with this plan. A kid named Ferdy, a boy named Ferdy who knows the part, is going to stand backstage and sing Peter's part, and Peter's going to mouth it. Kind of like if you've seen Singin' in the Rain. It's kind of like with Singin' in the Rain, where the girl who sings stands backstage behind the curtain, and the girl in front moves her mouth, except the people in charge aren't on board with this. Like, they haven't told them. It's just all the kids' idea, which is smart. Like, it was some good teamwork and looking out for people. But Peter doesn't think it's going to work, but they try anyway. My issue with it is that you'd think that their teacher would know what the kids each sound like. So Peter starts singing, and the professor looks confused. So he's like, "This isn't right." But he's not going to stop him in the middle of a performance. Eventually, and it's like kind of working. The audience isn't questioning it. But then, and Purdy is running around different places backstage. He's like coming out behind a group of people so that the sound can come from the right place. Like, it was a well thought out plan. But then there's a group of girls, it's a boys' school, so they're all boys, who go off stage and like push Purdy back. And why they weren't in on this plan of don't trap Purdy, I don't know. But Purdy, I don't even know. The kid. They trap him back there. So he doesn't get to sing for a little bit. So Peter's like moving his mouth and no sound comes up. And then the kid's singing again, but it's too late. They know. So Peter runs off stage and Tony runs after him. The teacher knows that it was Tony's idea because this teacher is a smart man. Peter is sad that he doesn't get to go, and he wants Heller to help him while he's on tour. And Heller's like, you'll be able to stay at the school. I can help you when you get back. And then he says a really good quote. Good quote. He says, this isn't the end for you. It's the beginning. It's fun being a kid, but, well, till now you've only been rehearsing. See what I mean? It was good. It was good. I think it was something that Peter needed, but Peter still didn't want it. So the board, the council, say that Peter can still live and work at the school, but Heller is trying to get the board to let Peter come as his assistant. He's like, let him be deputy conductor. So seems like Peter's going to get to go and conduct. And then there's this long travel montage because they're traveling to like a lot of different places, like Japan and India and Sydney, and they're traveling around a lot. It's an expensive trip. So it's like airplane, country, poster, program. There we go. That's the word. Traveling all over the place. And I wonder if those are real airlines. I could look it up, but I didn't. Oh, well. And then you see that Peter is a guest conductor and he conducts the whole song and you watch the whole song and they do really well. Like the boys are singing well and he's conducting well. And even the older musicians are smiling at each other because there's like, an orchestra. And Friedel and Tony have a duet, which made me happy because I like them. The teacher, Mr. Heller, is in the back and he's like conducting from the back. Like he wasn't, but then he got into it and he started conducting from the back. But then the students saw him and started quietly laughing at him. So he stopped because he realized what he was doing. And then the movie ended. Then it was over. Well, like, I think they do it like an encore, but I don't think that you really saw it. So then it just kind of ended. So, ratings. Daniel gave the movie a 3.5. He said the plot doesn't really do much. I think that the balancing of the length of songs it's just old, I guess. The pace of the movie is kind of slow. I agree with all of that. I gave the story a 4 because it doesn't get good until halfway through, and it's more of like a story than an actual plot like these things are. The plot points, this is what's happening. You're just kind of like, here we go. Here's life. I gave the characters a 3. Tony and the teacher, Mr. Heller, Professor Heller, were great. They were kind and thoughtful. I really liked them. The dad showed some growth. I liked that too. And the mom was nice. Peter was punk a lot, but he turned it around mostly. The other characters kind of easily blurred. I didn't really connect with any of them, like at all. Though I did like Friedel, but none of them really grabbed me and I didn't like identify with any of them. And they were just characters I was watching in a story. Overall, I give it a 3. There was lots of singing, and I know it stars super, super awesome. Okay, I will see you tomorrow. Bye.